My sister Marjorie leaned toward our mother and whispered, "Happy birthday, Mom," with the same polished smile she saved for charity luncheons and camera flashes. Her husband, Grant, stood behind her refilling glasses, counting the older guests the way a hawk counts rabbits in a field. My 27-year-old son, Caleb, brushed past my shoulder and murmured, "Get your bag. We are leaving." Smile like nothing is wrong. The flute of champagne in my hand suddenly felt heavier than a brick. The music inside Cedar Grove Event Hall kept drifting through the open doors. Smooth trumpet notes wrapped in laughter, as if this night was made of silk. Outside, the parking lot was damp and dim, lit by buzzing orange lamps that made every puddle look like spilled oil. I thought Caleb was doing what he always did since my husband died 3 years ago. He watched doors. He watched faces. He read rooms like weather. But when his fingers locked around my elbow, knuckles bleaching white, the air in my lungs changed. That was not overprotective son energy. That was adult fear, the kind that does not blink. "What is wrong?" I whispered as we slid through a cluster of my mother's bridge friends. Women with pearl earrings and careful hair. Women who believed family was a photo you framed and never questioned. "Not here," Caleb muttered. "Keep walking. Keep smiling." I have seen that look on my son's face exactly twice. Once when he was 12 and caught his father in a lie that broke our home. Once when an oncologist used the word metastatic and my world started cracking at the seams. Both times, everything collapsed within hours. Caleb got us to the car, shut the doors, and clicked the locks like he was sealing a vault. The hall glowed behind us through the windows. My mother, Evelyn Hart, sat at the head table in a soft rose dress, looking radiant at 86, surrounded by balloons and streamers and people who loved the version of life that stayed tidy. "Mom," Caleb said, voice steady, hands shaking. "Something is very wrong. I need to tell you what I overheard. This is where I should tell you who I am, because I have spent too many years letting other people control the story. My name is Amelia Hart. I'm 49 years old. I'm the daughter who keeps schedules, pays bills on time, and swallows my opinions so holidays do not turn into wars. Since my husband's funeral, I have been the quiet one, the dependable one, the one who keeps the peace even when the peace costs me something." Caleb pulled out his phone. His thumb hovered over a recording. "I took this 20 minutes ago," he said. "I went to grab your purse from Aunt Marjorie's SUV. They were in the lot. They thought everyone was inside." My stomach tightened. "Play it." Marjorie's voice came through, muffled but clear enough to burn. "She signed the papers this morning, right?" Grant answered, low and pleased. "Yes. Power of attorney is officially yours now. She thinks it was Medicare stuff." My blood turned to ice. "The deposit for Magnolia Ridge goes through Monday," Grant continued. "Once she is in, we sell the house within 30 days. Market is hot. We clear at least 400,000. I stared at the bright hall and the cake and the balloons and my mother's laughing mouth. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect. Caleb stopped the audio. His eyes stayed on mine. "There is more," he said. "They are planning to drug her tonight." The words landed like a hammer. I opened my mouth to speak, but all I could hear was the music inside. Still sweet, still pretending. And I realized something with a clarity that tasted like metal. If they were willing to do this to my mother on her birthday, they were willing to do worse. Caleb leaned closer. "We go to the police. Now." I looked at the hall one last time. At Marjorie's shining smile, at Grant's careful hands, at my mother's trusting face. Then I nodded. "Dial." And as Caleb pressed the call button, my phone buzzed in my purse with a message I had not yet seen. From Marjorie. "Where did you go?" The dispatcher's voice was calm, almost bored, like the world did not just tilt on its axis. 911, what is your emergency?" Caleb did not hesitate. "We need to report elder abuse and fraud in progress. My grandmother is at a birthday party right now. My aunt and her husband have a recording discussing a power of attorney scam and plans to drug her tonight." He gave our address. Cedar Grove Event Hall. He described the car. He described my mother. He described my sister's SUV. He described the plan. Then he handed me the phone. "Ma'am, can you confirm your mother is currently safe?" I stared through the windshield. The hall's windows glowed warm and golden, like a postcard. Inside, my mother still laughed at something one of the bridge ladies said, her hands moving as she told a story. Her posture was straight. Her eyes were clear. She looked like herself. "She is safe for the moment," I said, and I hated how thin that sounded. "She is surrounded by people, but they are trying to get her alone." "Do not intervene," the dispatcher said. "Officers are en route. Stay where you can observe. Do not confront the suspects." I wanted to argue. I wanted to run inside and grab my mother like she was a child about to wander into traffic. But I understood what Caleb had already understood. The second Marjorie suspected we knew, she would move faster. She would get creative. Predators always did when the trap started snapping shut. I kept my eyes on the doors. Caleb's phone lit up again. A text from Marjorie. Where did you go? Mom is asking for you. Then another. Caleb too. Come back. Cake is coming out. The words were syrupy, normal, sweet. That was what made them sickening. She wanted us in the room because she needed witnesses. A stage. A narrative. She needed the party to keep looking like a party. Respond, Caleb said. Give her a reason that buys time. My fingers felt stiff as I typed. Went to the car. We will be right back. I watched through the glass as Marjorie checked her phone. She read my message. She smiled. Then she walked straight to Grant. They spoke close together, heads tilted, shoulders relaxed, like a couple discussing grocery lists. Grant nodded once and glanced toward the parking lot. Caleb slid down in his seat. Get low. We sank under the window line just as Grant stepped outside. He moved with fake casualness, but he was too direct, too focused. He was hunting. He walked past our car, slow, scanning rows of vehicles. His head turned left, then right. He paused near the entrance, pulled his phone out, and started speaking with the kind of frustration that rises when a plan does not behave. They are not here, he said. Cars are here. They are gone. He listened. His jaw tightened. No, we stick to the plan, he snapped. Proceed as scheduled. Proceed as scheduled. My throat tightened until I could barely swallow. That phrase belonged in an office, not in a parking lot outside an 86-year-old woman's birthday party. It was the sound of people treating my mother like a file folder. Grant turned back toward the entrance. Caleb sat up slowly. His voice dropped to a whisper, but it had steel in it. They are committed to this. They will not stop because you asked nicely. I looked at my hands. I realized my champagne flute was still in the cup holder, untouched, like an insult. I set it on the floor and felt something shift inside me. It was not panic now. It was a cold, clean decision. For years, my job in this family had been smoothing edges, apologizing first, offering compromises, giving Marjorie what she wanted so the room stayed polite. That version of me was gone. My phone buzzed again. Marjorie, where are you, Amelia? Do not make this weird. I almost laughed. She did not know what weird was yet. Red and blue lights flashed in the rear-view mirror. 3 police vehicles rolled into the lot without sirens, sliding into the shadows like they belonged there. A man in uniform stepped out, scanned the crowd near the doors, and walked straight toward us with purpose. Caleb cracked the window. Are you the callers? The officer asked. Caleb nodded. Yes, I'm Caleb Miller. This is my mother, Amelia Hart. The officer introduced himself as Officer Langford. His eyes were sharp, tired, trained. He listened to the recording with his head slightly angled, like he was catching every syllable. When the words "drug her tonight" came through, his mouth flattened. You did the right thing by leaving, he said. Do you know what substance they intended to use? No, Caleb answered. But they said Grant has something in his jacket. Officer Langford nodded once. Here is what we do, he said. 2 plainclothes officers will enter and observe. We do not want them spooked. You 2 will go back inside. You will act normal. You will not confront anyone. You will stay close to your mother. If anyone attempts to give her food or drink, you will not stop them physically. You will signal us. My heart pounded. My instinct screamed to grab my mother and run, but I forced myself to breathe through it. How do I signal you? I asked. He pointed subtle toward the hall. One of our officers will be near the coat rack. Gray blazer, short hair. If you need immediate intervention, walk toward the coat rack and say you are looking for your car keys. Say it loud enough. Caleb nodded like he was storing it in a vault. Officer Langford's gaze held mine. Ma'am, I need you to understand. People who do this are not thinking like family. They are thinking like criminals. Do not give them a private confrontation. I did not tell him I already knew. I had just watched my sister turn her family into a business plan. Understood, I said. He gestured toward the doors. Go. Caleb and I walked back across the lot like we were heading toward something ordinary. Every step felt like stepping onto thin ice. The hall's warmth hit my face as the automatic doors opened. Laughter and music wrapped around us again, the big band brass trying to convince me the world was safe. Marjorie spotted us immediately. She glided toward us with her bright hostess smile, but her eyes were cutting. There you are, she said, voice sweet. Mom was worried. Where did you go? I let my face soften, the way I had trained myself to do for years. Car trouble, Caleb added smoothly. We handled it. Marjorie's smile stayed, but her gaze flicked to Caleb's hands, then to my purse, then toward the entrance, like she was checking for tails. Her eyes lingered on the coat rack area for half a second. Then she laughed lightly. Well, you missed Mom's little speech. She thanked everyone, especially you. The words tasted like poison. I looked past her to the head table. My mother was mid-laugh, mouth open, eyes bright. She was tapping her fingers to the music, completely present. I moved toward her with a smile that felt like a mask glued to my skin. Caleb stayed half a step behind me, close enough that I could feel his steady heat. I sat beside my mother and took her hand under the table. Her skin was warm, alive, real. "There you are," she said happily. "I was just telling Dorothy about the year your father tried to grill burgers in the rain." "Sounds like him," I said, and my voice did not break. Marjorie hovered behind my chair like a shadow. "Mom," she said brightly, "Paul and I were thinking we could drive you home after this. Save Amelia the trouble." There it was. The grab. The isolation. The door closing. I kept smiling. "Oh, that is sweet," I said. "But Caleb and I will take her. We want a little time together." Marjorie's expression flickered. "Just a hairline crack." Then she smoothed it. "Well," she said, "we do have some paperwork to go over tonight. Medicare stuff. Deadlines." I squeezed my mother's hand under the table. My mother blinked. "Paperwork?" Marjorie leaned in, voice gentle, rehearsed. "Just a few documents. Nothing to worry about. I'm trying to make things easier for you, Mom." Easier. That was the word predators loved. They wrapped theft in kindness. They called cages care. I kept my eyes on Marjorie and smiled like we were still sisters. "Of course," I said. "We will figure it out." Then my mother turned to me, eyes clear as glass, and said, "Amelia, why do you look like you are about to cry?" And behind Marjorie's shoulder, near the coat rack, I saw him. Gray blazer, short hair, not smiling, watching. The game had started. Marjorie did not retreat. She adjusted. That was the first lesson I learned watching her that night. When the door closed in one direction, she did not hesitate. She pivoted and tried another. She disappeared for less than 5 minutes and returned with a small gift bag. Pastel paper, tissue folded just right. The kind of bag that announced thoughtfulness. Care. Love. She placed it gently on the table in front of my mother. "Mom, I almost forgot," she said, voice warm. "I brought you something special. You mentioned last week you have been having trouble sleeping." My stomach dropped. My mother smiled, touched. "Oh, honey, you already did too much." "It is nothing," Marjorie said. "Just a little herbal tea. Chamomile, valerian, lavender. Natural. No chemicals. It really helps calm the mind." Natural. That word again. Safe words criminals used when they wanted you to stop asking questions. I felt Caleb shift beside me. He had noticed it too. I reached for the bag. "That is sweet. May I see?" Marjorie's hand shot out, light but fast, resting on the bag like an anchor. "They are individually wrapped. I did not want them to get crushed." Her smile stayed, but her eyes sharpened. "A warning." My mother looked between us. "Girls?" I forced a laugh. "I just want to see the brand. I have been having trouble sleeping too." For a fraction of a second, Marjorie hesitated. That was all I needed to know. She released the bag. I opened it carefully. 3 small boxes of tea, seals intact, labels clean. Everything looked normal. That was what made it dangerous. Whatever Grant had planned did not need to be obvious. It only needed to work once. "These look lovely," I said, turning to Caleb. "Why do not you put these in the car for Grandma? We will make sure she gets them home safely." Caleb understood immediately. He stood, took the bag, and smiled at my mother. "I will be right back." "That is not necessary," Marjorie said quickly. Too quickly. Caleb was already moving. My mother laughed. "Such a good boy." Marjorie's smile began to crack at the edges. She exhaled and regrouped, turning her attention elsewhere. "Doctor, Harlan made it," she said lightly, following my gaze across the room. I saw him then. Tall, thin, crisp white coat that did not belong at a party. He stood near the bar, talking quietly with Grant, nodding like a man collecting data. "Doctor, Harlan, the authority, the seal of approval. He has been so worried about Mom lately," Marjorie continued. "He thought it would be good to check in." Check in. I felt heat rise behind my eyes. "At her birthday party." "Sometimes environment matters," Marjorie said. "He likes to observe patients in natural settings." Natural again. Dr. Harlan approached our table with professional ease. "Mrs. Hart," he said to my mother. "Happy birthday. You look wonderful." My mother beamed. "Thank you, doctor. I feel wonderful." "That is excellent to hear," he said. "I was hoping to ask you a few questions. Just a quick cognitive check. Nothing formal." I leaned forward. "Is this an appointment?" He paused. "Not exactly." "Then we can schedule one," I said calmly. "During office hours, with consent forms." "Doctor." Harlan glanced at Marjorie. She nodded, almost imperceptibly. "It is really just a conversation," he said. "Orientation memory, basic awareness." My mother frowned slightly. "Why would I need that tonight?" Marjorie touched her arm. "Mom, it is just to put our minds at ease. You know how doctors are?" I watched my mother's face. I had known her my entire life. I knew when she was confused. I knew when she was tired. I knew when she was being patronized. She was none of those things right now. "Doctor," I said, keeping my voice level, "what exactly will you do with the answers from this conversation?" He cleared his throat. "That depends." "Depends on what?" "On whether there are concerns. And if there are no concerns, then it remains informal." So if my mother failed, it became documentation. If she passed, it disappeared. The room felt suddenly too small. No, I said. Doctor. Harlan blinked. Excuse me? No, I repeated. My mother is not participating in any medical assessments at her birthday party. Marjorie's voice sharpened. Amelia, you're overreacting. I turned to her. You brought a doctor to evaluate her competency in front of her friends. That is not care. That is the setup. A few heads nearby turned. The bridge ladies paused their conversation. The air shifted. Doctor. Harlan straightened. Perhaps another time, he said stiffly. Perhaps, I agreed. He walked away. My mother stared after him, then looked at me. Her eyes were clear, alert, furious. Amelia, she said quietly, what is going on? This was the moment I had been dreading. The moment when silence stopped being protection and became betrayal. I leaned closer. Mom, I think some people are trying to make decisions for you without your consent. She followed my gaze to Marjorie. Marjorie's face drained of color. Is that true? My mother asked. Mom, Marjorie said, voice trembling now. I'm just trying to help you. Help me do what? Marjorie opened her mouth, closed it. Grant appeared at her shoulder, smooth as oil. Mrs. Hart, he said, we just want to make sure you are safe. My mother laughed once, sharp, dry. I have been safe for 86 years. The lights flickered. Once, twice. Then the room dropped into darkness. Gasps rippled through the hall as emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. Ushers moved calmly, flashlights out, guiding guests toward exits. This happens all the time, someone said. Transformer down. I did not believe in coincidences anymore. In the dim light, I saw Grant's hand close around my mother's arm. Let us get you outside, he said. Fresh air. His grip was too tight. Stop, I said, stepping between them. Amelia, he warned low. Do not make this difficult. Let go of her. Mom, Marjorie said urgently. We just need to move you. My mother straightened. No one is moving me anywhere. And then a voice cut through the chaos. Actually, it said, calm and unmistakable, no one is moving anyone. Officer Langford stepped into the red light. His badge caught the glow. Grant's face collapsed. Several officers appeared around the room, no longer pretending to be guests. Mr. Reeves, Officer Langford said, we need to speak with you. What is this? Grant demanded. An investigation, Langford replied, including the unprescribed sedatives found in your jacket pocket. Grant opened his mouth, closed it. Marjorie's knees buckled. She grabbed the table to steady herself. My mother looked at me, then at Caleb, who had reappeared at my side, eyes blazing. What did you just save me from? She asked. I squeezed her hand. Everything, I said. And in that moment, as the party dissolved into sirens and whispers and consequences, I knew one thing for certain. The silence was over. The emergency lights cast everything in red, the kind of color that made familiar faces look dangerous. Conversations broke into whispers. Chairs scraped. Someone laughed nervously, assuming this was a harmless inconvenience. It was not. Officer Langford did not raise his voice. He did not need to. Authority does not shout. It arrives, and the room rearranges itself around it. Mr. Reeves, he said again. Please step away from Mrs. Hart. Grant's fingers loosened, slow and reluctant, like a man letting go of a ledge. My mother took a step back on her own, chin lifted, spine straight. I do not understand what is happening, Grant said. This is a family matter. No, Langford replied. This is a criminal one. Two officers closed in, flanking Grant with quiet precision. One of them slipped on gloves and reached into the inside pocket of Grant's jacket. What are you doing? Grant snapped. The officer withdrew a small amber vial. Do you want to tell me? Langford asked calmly. Why you are carrying prescription sedatives that are not prescribed to you. Grant's mouth opened, closed, opened again. I do not know how that got there. My mother let out a short, incredulous laugh. Of course you do. Across the room, Marjorie backed away from the table, shaking her head as if denial might erase the last 10 minutes. This is insane, she whispered. You are humiliating us. Humiliating. The word landed wrong. Heavy. Off balance. No, I said, stepping forward. My voice surprised me. It was steady. Loud enough. You humiliated yourselves the moment you decided my mother was worth more incapacitated than alive. A hush rippled outward. Officer Langford turned slightly, acknowledging me without interrupting the process. Mrs. Hart, he said to my mother, we believe there has been an attempt to coerce you into signing legal documents under false pretenses. We also believe there was an intent to administer medication without your consent. My mother absorbed that with terrifying clarity. Marjorie found her voice. Mom, please. This is not what it looks like. What does it look like? My mother asked. Marjorie gestured helplessly. We were just trying to help you. You have been confused lately. Confused? My mother's voice cut clean through the red-lit room. I hosted this party. I remembered everyone's name. I gave a speech without notes. If this is confusion, it is the sharpest confusion I have ever had. A murmur of agreement rose from nearby tables. Officer Langford's radio crackled. "We confirmed the outage," a voice said. "Main power line was deliberately cut. Backup delay system tampered with." My stomach dropped. Langford nodded once. "Thank you." He turned back to Grant and Marjorie. "Someone with knowledge of this building disabled the power to create a controlled evacuation. That increases the severity of tonight's charges." Marjorie's knees gave out. She grabbed the back of a chair and sank into it, sobbing now, loud and uncontained. Grant stared at the floor. The doctor chose that moment to reappear. "Doctor!" Harlan stepped forward from the shadows near the bar, hands raised slightly, face composed. "Officer, perhaps there has been a misunderstanding. I am Mrs. Hart's physician. I have documented concerns." "Documented where?" Langford asked. "In her medical file." Langford gestured to another officer who approached Dr. Harlan with a tablet. "We would like to see those records." "Doctor," Harlan hesitated. "Patient confidentiality is waived," Langford said, "when there is evidence of fraud and conspiracy." The tablet chimed. The officer's brow furrowed. "These records are inconsistent," he said. "Dates do not align." Notes appear copied and pasted. My mother turned to Dr. Harlan slowly. "You have been my doctor for 15 years. "Yes," he said, eyes darting. "And you were willing to label me incompetent to help my daughter sell my house." He did not answer. "That is what I thought," she said. Caleb reappeared beside me, breathing hard. "The tea," he whispered. "Field test came back positive. Strong sedative." I closed my eyes for 1 second. Then I opened them and looked at Marjorie. She was no longer crying prettily. She was unraveling. "I did not think it would go this far," she said. "We needed the money. The house was just sitting there. She did not need all that space." My mother stood. The room stilled. "You decided," my mother said, "that my life was an inconvenience." Marjorie looked up, mascara streaked. "Mom, please." "Noah," my mother said. "Do not call me that." The officers moved in then, guided Marjorie and Grant away from the table. Hands behind backs. Metal cuffs clicking shut, loud and final. Someone gasped. Someone whispered my sister's name like it was a prayer. "Doctor." Harlan was escorted separately, his face gray, his authority stripped down to a man in a coat who made very bad choices. As they were led past us, Marjorie twisted toward me. "You did this," she hissed. "You always wanted to ruin me." I stepped closer. "No," I said quietly. "I wanted to protect my mother. You ruined yourself." Officer Langford approached my mother with a gentleness that felt earned. "Mrs. Hart, we will need you to come with us to make a statement." My mother nodded. "Of course." She turned to me, eyes bright, unafraid. "Amelia," she said, "I am very glad you stopped being polite." I felt something break open in my chest. As the guests were ushered out, the party dissolved into a crime scene. Balloons sagged. Cake sat untouched. Music died mid-note. I watched my sister disappear through the doors in handcuffs. I did not cry. Outside, the night air was cool and clean, like a line drawn between before and after. Caleb stood beside me, shoulders squared. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded. "I am done. Done being quiet. Done smoothing lies. Done protecting people who would sell my mother for $400,000 in a clean conscience." Behind us, the lights of Cedar Grove Event Hall flickered back on. It did not matter, because some things, once exposed, never go back into the dark. The police station smelled like burnt coffee and old paperwork, the kind of place where lies came to die slowly. My mother sat across from a metal table, her hands folded neatly, answering questions with the same clarity she had used her entire life. Dates, names, details, no hesitation, no confusion. When the officer finished, he looked at her with something close to respect. "Mrs. Hart, you understand that the power of attorney documents your daughter had you sign will be voided immediately." "Good," my mother said. "They never belonged to her in the first place." Grant and Marjorie were processed separately. I did not ask to see them again. Some conversations end the moment the truth is spoken out loud. "Doctor." Harlan's medical license was suspended before sunrise. The forged notes, the copied assessments, the convenient diagnoses had unraveled faster than he expected. Authority only works when people believe it is clean. By morning, the house was safe. My mother's house. The one with the creaking front step and the rose bush she planted the year I left for college. The one Marjorie had already priced in her head. We sat at the kitchen table, sunlight cutting across old wood, steam rising from untouched coffee. "I almost lost everything," my mother said quietly. "No," I corrected her. "You almost learned who wanted to take it." She smiled at that. A small, sharp smile. "There is a difference." Caleb leaned against the counter, arms crossed, watching us the way he always did when he thought danger might still be hiding in corners. "They will try to explain it," he said. "They will say they meant well." "I know," my mother replied. "People always do." She reached for my hand then. Her grip was steady. "Amelia," she said. "Thank you for choosing me over peace." The words hit harder than anything that night. For years I had believed silence was love, that keeping family comfortable was the same thing as keeping them safe. I was wrong. Silence had been the tool that let Marjorie sharpen her plans in the dark. That morning I called a lawyer. A real one, not a friend of the family. Not someone recommended at brunch. I changed passwords. I locked down accounts. I documented everything. The quiet version of me did not survive that night. Marjorie was charged with elder abuse and conspiracy. Grant with attempted unlawful restraint and possession of controlled substances. Their explanations did not matter. Their intentions did not matter. Only their actions did. My mother stayed in her house. She hosted Sunday dinners again, louder this time, unapologetic. She stopped answering calls she did not want to answer. She stopped signing papers she did not understand. She stopped explaining herself. As for me, I stopped asking for permission to protect the people I love. Sometimes I replay that moment in the parking lot when Caleb grabbed my elbow and told me to leave. If I had smiled and stayed, if I had ignored the fear because it felt inconvenient, my mother would be in a locked room right now, wondering what she did wrong. Instead, she is free. So here is my question, and I mean it honestly. Was I wrong for calling the police on my own sister and letting her be arrested at our mother's birthday party? Or was that the moment the silence finally did what it should have done all along and ended? If you were in my place, what would you have done? And if you want to know what happened when Marjorie realized the house was never going to be hers, that is a story for another night.